The train headed for the Mystic Ruins will be departing soon.
An underrated element of the first Sonic adventure is how much detail and history was put into the Mystic Ruins. This is one of the 3 main hub worlds in the game that you explore to access the actual levels and advance the story. As a kid, this place seemed so expansive, and even now it inspires my imagination, causing me to speculate as I play about the society that used to live here and how its layout connects to the other aspects of the world. So just like the various archaeologists that are investigating this place, let's start combing through its design to build a better appreciation for the effort Sonic Team put into crafting it. To kick things off, many people don't realize that the Mystic Ruins as the people of this world knew it was very different before the events of the game. When Eggman awakens Chaos and it shatters the Master Emerald on Angel Island at the start of the Knuckles campaign, the island then falls down to the planet below, crashing into the ocean and extending the coastline. The massive stone wall you see immediately when you first get off the train wasn't there until recently, because this is part of the perimeter of Angel Island itself. One of the archaeologists even states the soil here is very similar to that of the Mystic Ruins, and that's because they were once connected. Originally, the workshop Tails owns nearby would have seen nothing but water here, and it's kinda cool to imagine how different this field and oasis would feel if that was still the case. Later in the story, this wall breaks apart, letting you enter, and now you're officially on Angel Island again. A 3D interpretation of the place you explored in Sonic 3. I already made a video on the consistent world design of that game, and that extends into Sonic Adventure, as you explore levels from that game like Ice Cap on the island's snowy peaks, and Red Mountain, which possibly exists around the volcanic areas that made up Lava Reef. I think it's nice that they still use the wondrous location of Angel Island to contextualize many of the game's naturalistic levels, while Human Society justifies all of the modern-themed ones like Speed Highway, Twinkle Park, and Casinopolis. Then, of course, you have Eggman's futuristic levels like Hot Shelter, Skydeck, and Final Egg. I do know some people get tripped up thinking there's some sort of scale trickery going on and that Angel Island only makes up this suspended bit of land here with the emerald itself. I guess they think the wooden connecting bridge was made more recently by people exploring the ruins, but the island actually makes up the entire surrounding mountain range as well, since we see it all, including that bridge, during those few cutscenes when the island is floating in the sky at the beginning and end of the game. To add an extra layer to all of this, we need to take into account the flashbacks the spirit of Tikal takes each character back to throughout the game. The Master Emerald Shrine in both timeframes is the same, so when we see its pristine form in the past, we get to see what the geography of this area originally looked like. To give a brief refresher of the game's backstory, Knuckles' Echidna ancestors used to live on the planet's surface in harmony with Chaos, the god who lived within this shrine. When Tikal's militant father attempted to steal the power of the emeralds for war, killing the peaceful Chao that surrounded the shrine, Chaos became enraged, destroying their society in a cataclysmic event that broke apart the entire area and raised it into the sky. That event is detailed in a mural depicting Perfect Chaos's vengeful onslaught on the Echidna tribe after combining with the 7 emeralds. This mural exists at the end of the level titled Lost World, and this whole level is a piece of this lost Echidna culture. You enter it through this pyramid in the middle of the jungle, deep within the Mystic Ruins. And that brings us to the next big subject of this video. If we know everything on Angel Island came from the land the Echidnas used to inhabit, why does this pyramid contain their artifacts and structures yet exist separately from the landmass that just recently crashed back down? The answer is that this area was also a piece of their society, but it remained on the planet while the area around the shrine was separated. In fact, this exact location and pyramid is the same one you explore during the flashbacks you have with Tikal. Angel Island crashed back down in virtually the same location it separated from, so the surrounding areas are extensions of the land the Echidna used to roam freely. This pyramid is one piece of evidence demonstrating this, but because it's been so long, the area has grown up around it, and it now appears to be buried in the ground compared to how tall it seemed in its full glory in the past. Back then, we could see many more steps to the structure, with 3 pairs of these stone spheres going up the stairway. To give an idea of just how much higher the ground is in the present day, we only see the 2 highest spheres near the top, and as we approach them, one opens up as a stone echidna. The other one has been damaged over time, but just imagine what it used to look like with all 6 of them opening up like this to welcome those entering the temple. From those stairs, it's a straight shot towards the path that takes us to the shrine. None of that exists in the modern day, but we can see remnants of the stone bridge that originally connected the two areas. Imagine this path continuing on and reaching the front of the pyramid, since that's how it originally functioned. Another aspect of the layout of these areas that helps put into perspective how they're the same is this cliffside they both have looking down into this valley, with the same distance and orientation to the pyramid itself. It sort of goes without saying, but the modern version of the Emerald Shrine itself is heavily worn down compared to its original form. Most of the pillars that used to hold the Chaos Emeralds have all fallen over. The water that once surrounded the shrine is all gone, and the roof over the center is now totally missing. Up above the pathway to the shrine in the past, we can see the mountain range has two tiers, with a mass of rocks that go even higher. I believe this is meant to be the portion of land that was raised into the sky, since it's not only in the direction of the shrine, but also because it's missing from the same view in the past. These rocks, which became Angel Island, were lifted from here and fell back down right here, to everyone's surprise. It probably didn't fall in the exact same orientation either, so this broken off bridge likely used to point in the opposite direction towards land, to line up more with where the pyramid is. To help illustrate how these areas relate, let's break it out using the maps included in the DX port of the game. First, here are the three maps that make up the Mystic Ruins in the present day and how they connect to one another. Then we have the village and shrine maps we explore in the past. Let's flip the shrine to show how it connects with the other. Then let's lay these over their modern counterparts, to show how far out of alignment they've become. So if we connect Angel Island back to the pyramid the way it was in the past, this is how it would look. Of course, this is all just an assessment, but I don't think it's crazy to assume this chasm-y area where the train is used to extend much further. But the cataclysm took a giant chunk out of it, encompassing the shrine up into the sky, which became Angel Island. Since this part of the forest never left the planet, that explains how it's possible for Big the Cat to already have a home established here, alongside Eggman having an elaborate base stationed here, and for there to be a railway installed which takes you here in the first place. Sometimes Eggman's base doesn't appear visually in the distance, but I think it's just supposed to be hidden until it becomes relevant, since Gamma's story opens there and we can estimate it takes place pretty early in the grand scheme of the game's events. Tails even has memories chasing after Sonic in this area when he was younger, so it must have existed long enough for him to be nostalgic about it. Speaking of Tails, he's the only one who enters a desert level called Sand Hill from this part of the Mystic Ruins. Though this is probably just meant to be an abstract moment without much rhyme or reason, I wonder if this is supposed to be the same type of environment left behind but originally connected to Sandopolis on Angel Island. Or maybe when we enter it, we're burrowing through to Angel Island itself, since this entrance is alongside the bordering wall of this area. I have a similar thought about the snowboarding section at the end of Ice Cap, which is full of houses and blimps that don't really make sense as part of Angel Island. While this might just be the result of this sequence being made on its own as a tech demo of sorts, and then being stapled onto the end of the singular ice level, it's possible the snow from Ice Cap could be spilling down onto a town that already existed on the planet's surface, one which might not have even been snowy until Angel Island came crashing down. I find it highly unlikely these buildings could have been built on the island in the time since its crash landing, but it is a beautiful aesthetic regardless. Sand Hill is full of unique architecture which helps us better conceptualize the scope of the Echidna tribe. For example, you can find several other pyramids here, which are more simplistic looking but are in much better condition overall. It's also full of these giant stone snakes moving through the sand. And while I don't understand how these things work, they are an established mechanism seen throughout the Lost World. Snake imagery is seen all over these Echidna-made locations, meaning it must have been an important symbol for them. Most likely they're meant to represent perfect chaos, who the Echidna clan at one time held reverence for, but began disregarding as they became power-hungry and arrogant. Several times we see them used as entranceways, where their mouths open up and let us proceed. Like I explained in my Shadow video, these snakes also appear in extremely similar ways deep within the Space Colony arc of Sonic Adventure 2, strategically recreated by Gerald Robotnik to help the Master Emerald resonate with the false shrine he designed there to power his Doomsday weapon. Due to the spiritual spiritual nature of Adventure 1, time and space can often have a dreamlike quality to them. So sometimes you can't tell if what you're looking at actually exists in reality, or you've been transported to a distant world. One moment that exemplifies this is this fantastic vista you catch in the middle of the Lost World. Since you enter this level by going down into the ground, is this a view of what it looks like further down this cliff? Or are you now suddenly in the past, looking at the structures that made up the Echidna's homeland? Actually, as you enter this place, Tikal's spirit says this is a door to the past. So it's possible she means she's taking you back to what this place used to look like when it was still maintained. I can't help but speculate about the past when going through these broken down cultural remnants. And how often do you get the chance to see what they look like in their prime? You even get the opportunity to talk with the people who made up this society during these small snapshots, and get an idea of who really lived there. Hopefully I've been able to help everyone gain a greater appreciation for the detailed and deliberate choices these developers made when crafting these areas. How great is it that they took all of the hints and setup of Sonic 3 and continued exploring that history in the first real 3D game. And then all of this is flipped on its head with humanity's attempted exploitation of this history and these spiritual elements that almost wiped out the entire planet. It's a fascinating saga with a surprising amount of connective tissue, and it all comes together as one hell of an adventure.